Hello, I'm CJ Werleman, and in this week's episode, we reveal why and how the Western media has deliberately kept hidden the remarkable heroes of Gaza. But first, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. More than 40,000 innocent men, women and children have been murdered by the Zionist regime in Gaza since October, leaving the Palestinian territory decimated physically, materially and emotionally. You have to go back to the Second World War to find this level of destruction. But amongst this carnage and wreckage stand the defiant and proud Palestinian people who have proven time and time again they will never be defeated, no matter how high the odds are stacked against them. Through their courage, humility, grace and grief, they have not only changed the way the world thinks about Palestine, but also how the West thinks about Islam. As we've reported extensively during the past several months, having witnessed an unprecedented number of converts to the Islamic faith in such a short period of time, even amongst our own viewers. This is not because of us. This is because of them. And the reason for this is obvious and hardly needs restating. That the Palestinians of Gaza have given the Christian world a clear demonstration of how the Islamic faith provides Muslims with physical, emotional, and spiritual strength, even in the worst of times and even in the midst of genocide. This surging popularity of Islam constitutes Israel's worst nightmare, which is why the Israeli lobby and the United States government have pressured international media outlets into suppressing stories that humanize Palestinians or celebrate their religious faith. This is not some crazed conspiracy. This is just a straight up fact, as reported by a countless number of journalist whistleblowers who have come forward to describe how Israel has pressured publishers and their editorial boards into suppressing Palestinian deaths, pushing Israeli victimhood narratives, and making invisible acts of Palestinian heroism. This is why media headlines deliberately reduce the people of Gaza to faceless statistics. But of course, you already knew this, because you witnessed a similar tactic used by Hollywood against Muslims during the War on Terror era, in which Arab, African and Afghan populations are reduced to faceless brown-skinned bodies that are gunned down by heroic American invaders. And standing behind this demonization of Palestinians and Muslims in Western culture is Israel, having pressured Hollywood studios to cast Arabs only as terrorist dictators and corrupt oil billionaires, as documented by legendary Hollywood film critic Jack Shaheen. And now the media is applying this same framing mechanism to the genocide taking place in Gaza, therefore making victims of Israel's genocide invisible, which means Palestinians are denied an opportunity to tell their own story, leaving Western audiences blind to their fears, suffering and grief in the now, along with their hopes and dreams for the future. You're never allowed to see Palestinians for who they really are, as individuals. Because if you don't know any Palestinians and you don't know their stories or histories, then you will never sympathize with their struggle against Israel's criminal occupation. But we are here to change that now. These are the heroes of Gaza. And if you really wish to help defeat the Zionist state, then you should know their names. But for me, the greatest heroes of all are the territory's medical personnel. In fact, I choose not to think of Gaza doctors and nurses as heroes, or even superheroes. They are angels sent from heaven. They have risked their own lives to save and give comfort to those most in need, and in conditions that can only be described as hell on earth. And even if you don't speak or understand Arabic, then you'll still feel what this doctor is saying.
وأنا أيقنت بهذا القسم. لم أترك أي واحد يتألم في الثلاثة أيام التي فاتت. ضمدنا جراح، وزعنا طعام على المرضى، أعطينا مسكنات، لم نترك أحد يتألم. ولكن الحمد لله.
He said that thanks to God, he was able to deliver pain relief and other medical supplies to wounded patients for the past 3 days. Yes, for only the past 3 days. Because Israel has completely decimated Gaza's healthcare system, having destroyed or partially destroyed every hospital in the territory, leaving doctors to tend to 81,000 injuries without being able to offer their patients any form of pain relief. Not even over-the-counter Panadol or Tylenol. I mean, imagine that, having to perform amputations and cesarean pregnancies without being able to comfort your patient with basic pain relief, bearing in mind that at least 10 children every day have lost an arm or leg in Gaza since October. 10 children every day. And if you think it can't possibly get any worse than that, then understand that many doctors have had no other choice than to perform amputations on their own children, and without anesthesia. I've watched that clip a dozen times now, and as a father of a daughter, it hits me dead in the heart every single time. If there's anything more heroic than what that Palestinian doctor just did, then I haven't seen it. Damn Israel to hell. But stoically and humbly, the doctor counts himself among the lucky ones in Gaza, because he has seen many of his colleagues watch their children die on the operating table or discover their lifeless bodies in the hospital morgue. In Zionism, we have seen the worst of humanity, but through the Palestinian people and their devoutly Islamic faith, we have seen the best of our species. Because through their love and care for one another, they have shown the Western world the values it has long lost, like community, altruism, and personal sacrifice. And I'm talking about ordinary people, doing whatever they can to help their neighbours, even when the desperation for self-preservation is at its highest. I think of a man named Sobi Al-Hussein, who owns a fleet of 4 taxi cabs, but transformed his cars into rescue vehicles to bring Palestinians fleeing northern and central Gaza to Rafah in the south, where residents had been told they would find safety. He and his drivers are routinely shot while collecting the injured, which tragically is the case for all ambulance drivers in Gaza, including medics for the International Red Crescent. These text messages from May 31st show what they're up against, with one medic saying after escaping a hail of gunfire, "Israel wants to kill us. They don't want hospitals to treat the injured or rescue anyone. They want us all dead." And to that end, there's nobody Israel wants dead more than Palestinian journalists, as evident by the fact that Israel has killed more journalists in Gaza during the past 8 months than the total number of journalists killed during the Second World War. But despite these casualties, these heroes, armed only with a camera, flak jacket, and helmet, navigate the areas Israel is targeting on any given day to bring you images that will eventually see Israel tried and convicted for genocide at the International Criminal Court. The story of Al Jazeera bureau chief Wael al-Dadou gives testimony to this horror. His wife's 7-year-old daughter and 15-year-old son were killed by an Israeli airstrike in October, and then 1 week later, his 27-year-old son, who was also a journalist, was murdered by Zionist forces. Wael has not only become the symbol of Palestinian sorrow, but also a symbol of Palestinian courage and defiance.
How can someone accept the death of his son after losing other family members, he said. Hamza, an Al Jazeera journalist like his father, was killed in an Israeli airstrike in southern Gaza along with 2 other reporters. Yet even after his latest tragedy, Wael was back on the air just hours later. We will continue, he says, as long as we're alive.
Were you to ask me to identify just one Palestinian hero who has helped change the course of history and the way the West thinks about Palestine and Islam, then I would have to say this man right here, Khaled Nablan, a grandfather who lost his daughter and 3-year-old granddaughter in an Israeli airstrike on his home. As one commentator said, "How many narratives, films and stories have been manufactured to make us afraid of people who look like this?" But in one moment, when he kissed his deceased 3-year-old granddaughter goodbye, saying she's the soul of my soul, he changed everything. He changed the West's perception of Palestinians and Muslims right there. And thanks to these heroes, the Western world is shifting its position towards Israel. Take Europe, for example, where Norway, Spain and Ireland recently joined 5 other European states in recognizing an independent Palestinian state. More countries will soon follow. The jig is up for Israel, despite how bad things might seem right now for Palestinians. Because as the saying goes, it's always darkest before the dawn. The heroes of Gaza, through their beauty and bravery, are ushering in a new era, one in which the Zionist state is forever vanquished. And if you're looking for the face of this eventual victory, then I want you to take a moment to enjoy this young Palestinian orphan who, despite losing everything, remains unfazed and undaunted about his future and that of his people. Please share their stories widely. The Palestinians really are the best of mankind, and your likes, shares and posts are helping counter Israel's lies and manipulation. Therefore, you are making a difference, which makes you a hero of Gaza too. But that's my time for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we kindly ask that you please support our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWerleman. We can't produce, sustain and grow the show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.